What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable. So good to have you in this Tuesday evening, fresh off of preseason week 1. That's right. Official NFL football has come and gone. All 4 teams in the NFC West played football over the weekend, and on tonight's episode, we're going to dive into all 4 games that we watched in preseason week 1. So without further ado, let's bring in the fellas. Mike, Brandon, Jesse, Jake, and fellas, I'm getting cooked in the chat right now. Cooked.
Gotta love it.
Taking strays for no reason. It's not even your fault that we were late. It was my fault.
It should be my fault. I was thinking about taking a sick day the next 4 weeks so I could watch Hard Knocks in real time. That's how much you people care to me. So cut me some slack in the chat. L-Bot, we'll save that for another day. If I'm 10 minutes plus late, I will change the name to L-Bot on the handle there.
Late bot. Oh yeah, they got you. They got you good.
I got a million bots, by the way, over on the Fanatics. A bent brim bot, big booty bot. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how I even land some of these, but apparently I just stumble.
That's what you get for standing up.
What's the lore behind big booty bot? All right, let's figure that one out.
So I was there was a photo of me that my mother took, a candid that should never have been taken. It was in the middle of the Bills-Ravens divisional game where the Ravens score and then Mark Andrews drops the 2-point conversion. And there's a photo of me on the ground, and I look like I need to be in a padded room. And for some reason, the angle that it was taken in, I think, evolved into that comment. And then now there's multiple people in the chat who have it as their profile picture. You're not getting your hands on it, by the way, in here on the NFC West Roundtable. If anybody ends up doing it, I'll be impressed.
They're going to be calling you Thick Bot from now on.
Thick Bot, yeah. Big back bot, whatever.
Z-Bot was a big booty Judy. I like it. This is good.
Damn right. I'm owning that, too. I've been hitting the squat machine, fellas. It's almost
there we go. There we go.
The HHG, he's coming in. He's saying, of course, it's the Niners fan that's late. Thank you, HHG. Please take the pressure off of me a little bit, would you? Feed me more, kicking us off, too. He's saying he's not surprised. It's Jesse's fault. Now you're taking it all. It's all on you now, Jesse.
Man.
Listen, I had to own up to it. It was my fault. I'll take it.
I appreciate you taking it because as the host, as an honorable host, I need to fall on the sword. But Jesse was willing to step up to the plate, so much appreciated. We got a lot to talk about tonight, fellas. Preseason week 1 is in the books, and although it is only preseason, there's still plenty to talk about, still plenty to evaluate, and that's what we're going to do tonight on this episode of the NFC West Roundtable. Before we even dive into it, though, we got some housekeeping to do. If you haven't heard, in 2 months, actually, fellas, less than 2 months, we are going to be live in Los Angeles for a Week 5 showdown between these two at the bottom of your screen. Jake's Rams, Jesse's 49ers on Thursday Night Football at SoFi Stadium for the first ever NFC West event. The tickets are still currently available. Link in the description below. You'll contact Roundtable Sports Network at gmail.com. Shoot an email, inquire on the tickets, and get in on it because they're going quick. You're not going to want to miss it. For the value in and of itself, it's a bargain to get into SoFi. Like I mentioned, I'm pretty sure it's $300 to park a half a mile away. $300 is going to get you to the live show, and it's going to get you into the stadium with us to watch the game. So in honor of the event coming around the corner here, we here at Z-Bot Studios had to cook up a little bit of a trailer. Now, Z-Bot Studios is a subsidiary of Z-Bot Media and Entertainment, and they've been grinding on a promo/trailer video to showcase just how epic this event is going to be. We can't tell you how excited we are. We really hope you join us. And if you haven't planned on joining us, maybe the trailer will change your mind. NFC West football fans, you're not going to want to miss this. Tickets are on sale now for the NFC West Roundtable's first ever event, live from beautiful Los Angeles, California. Tickets include access to a live, in-person NFC West Roundtable show and a game ticket to the Week 5 divisional showdown between the Rams and the 49ers at SoFi Stadium on Thursday Night Football. This is the first time the NFC West Roundtable has ever been together together in person, and you can watch the action right alongside the crew, including 49ers creator Jesse from the Last Second Sports YouTube channel, Rams creator Jake from the Jake Ellenbogen YouTube channel, Seahawks creator Brandon from the Hawks Nest YouTube channel, Cardinals creator Mike from the AZ Sports Fan YouTube channel, and yours truly Z-Bot, host of the NFC West Roundtable. For ticket information, email roundtablesportsnetwork@gmail.com. We can't wait to see you in LA. I'll be accepting my Emmy in the
Let's
go. Fellas, go.
Let's go.
Man, I've never wanted to watch John Wick more in my life. I love that. You know, the I do. That was
great. That was great.
I feel like I could snap somebody's neck right now.
Yeah, dude.
I'm ready to run through a wall.
The editing. Like the cutting us out of the bat. Holy, yeah.
That's some After Effects stuff right there. That ain't just, that's After Effects right there. Yeah,
as I was doing that, fellas, I said to myself, enjoy it. This is the last time you're ever doing this ever again. To do something as dumb and as simple as that, I cannot tell you how ridiculous it is. You got to rotoscope everybody. I mean, I basically was looking up everybody's nose in here just to be able to do that. But anyway, that is the long and short of it. The live event is week 5, SoFi Stadium. Tickets still available. We really hope you can join us because it's going to be epic. And as a wise man once said, we will see you in LA. Get your tickets. Email roundtablesportsnetwork@gmail.com. All right, let's kick things off with talking about something that doesn't happen very often in the NFL, but it happened to happen to Brandon's Seahawks over the weekend in a rematch between Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. A tie ball game. And in the preseason, they don't bother to try and get a W on the board for one team or the other. They just call it. And that's what they did this past weekend, a 23-23 tie between the Raiders and the Seahawks. So what we're going to do here, fellas, we're going to go around the table and we're going to start off positive. I want to hear the positives you took away from the preseason game, and then eventually we'll get to the negatives. I know we all have those too, out of games in which we don't see a whole lot of starters. So Brandon, going to start with you. For starters, what was it like seeing old Pete Carroll, even though it was just a preseason game? And then from there, what was it like watching the game and kind of taking into consideration what that might mean heading into September?
Yeah, odd to see him coming off the other tunnel. There's a whole Stein snafu to the start of the game where he's trying to take a Stein away from a fan who's got something that they're right about Geno. And so it was a little weird there, but it was, he seems enthusiastic and where he wants to be. I've always said, I think with Coach Carroll, you're gonna have to basically tear the whistle off of his neck to get him off the sideline to keep him from coaching because he loves it so much. And so that part was cool. But as far as the good goes, I'll say it's going to be very hard to find as much bad, even though it is a tie. This was a game where the Raiders were really trying to go out there and win this for Coach Carroll. They were trying to play their starters and their twos a little bit longer down. You had Aiden O'Connell in there to the depths of the third quarter. So the end game of it being a tie and then beating up on our fourth string and third string, when we were into that pretty quickly into this game is not a big deal for me. We really rested pretty much almost all of our starters across the board, / played people almost not at all. And yet what you got to take from this game as a major takeaway was that the rookies on this team are legitimate. If this team's going to contend in 2025, if we're going to push for the division, it's got to be on the back of rookies bringing some kind of impact to play on this field. And then there's a collection of them. And the more that they can, the better overall hopes are for this team to be a lot better than people are looking at them being nationally. And you got that in this game. You saw it with Nick Amorion just coming in on a TFL in the backfield, Robbie Oots laying down blocks, showing you how important that is in the Shanahan offense. Just go ask Jesse about that on that other side of it. Torrey Horton has been one of the stars in camp. He had a touchdown catch in this game, a couple of other catches. He seems like a guy who might have already taken his hands and taken the firm control of the third wide receiver on this roster over Marquez Valdes-Scantling already, because he's just been that good, not only through camp, but then continuing it on through this first preseason game. So the rookies just showed up all across the board, including Gray Zabel. I worry about my offensive line here, Z-Bot. And Gray Zabel was a guy you hoped could come in day one and start for you and be a steadying force for you at that spot. He was so. He played really good in this game, one of your highest graded guys by PFF in this game. But really just the story is so many of these guys are bringing contributions, impact, not just in the first preseason game, but they're building on those poor performances from OTAs and from the start of training camp to this preseason game, giving you that much more hope then that when we get to regular season, they're going to help you out.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to touch on that because it feels like the guys we hear about in training camp are often the ones that end up making an impact in the preseason game. And that means a lot because for the most part, you're not able to be in attendance for training camp. You're kind of monitoring it based on what you see on social media to be able to watch the game and see it translate. That's when it starts to hit home. So for you, the big takeaway here was that the majority of this rookie class that you're relying on to be impactful, not only in the future, but right now, we're able to do so in a short capacity over the weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, you can throw even a guy like Jalen Milroe on top of that, where this year you're not using Milroe to be a starter or to be the ascendant right now. You're going to bring him out for like 5 to 6% of the snaps, and you're going to have him as a curveball. That's something that teams have to prepare for every week defensively. And he's going to run RPO options and Cam Newton-like offense that Cam ran when he ran the MVP season with the Carolina Panthers and through most of his career, quite frankly. But it's going to be it's effective for a guy that can be a quarterback that's like Lamar, like a Cam, like a Jalen Milroe. Doesn't have to be really all over the place and super complex, very simplified RPO type reads down around in the red zone. And if you find some effectiveness with that, that's how we start to cobble this offense together as a whole, in my opinion.
Anytime the Kansas City Chiefs go down, it's worth celebrating. I don't care if it's in February or in August, and they went down at the hands of the Arizona Cardinals over the weekend. Kyler Murray with an interception. That seemed to be what everybody was wanting to talk about after this game, because poor Kyler going into year 7, despite only throwing one incompletion all day, that it being that pick, that ends up being the highlight. We'll talk about that maybe in a minute, Mike. But for now, 20-17, the Cardinals beat the Chiefs in preseason game 1. What looked good to you from your Arizona Cardinals in their first preseason game?
Yeah, so this game was actually pretty entertaining from like the jump to the very end. And you don't really say that with Cardinals preseason games. Now, obviously, it started off with the Cardinals starters starting from the beginning. I thought that they were going to only do like maybe a drive, but being the fact that the way that it ended with the interception, Jonathan Gannon and his regime decided to throw them back out there, and it did actually have them play like a full quarter. So it was really cool to see that. Now on the field, they only really amounted up to like 3 points, and of course the second string ended up doing the rest and scoring as much points as they possibly can, getting the lead going into the half. But overall, we saw a lot of good things here from the Arizona Cardinals offense. Now, mainly, obviously, Kyler Murray looked pretty solid. It was 7 for 8, 96 yards. The interception we'll talk about a little later on, but Jacoby Brissett is a quarterback that a lot of people don't really talk about very much, but I think he's probably the best quarterback we have on this roster. Now, I don't want people saying in the chat, it's going to be Jacoby Brissett's, job in, week 7. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I do know right now Jacoby Brissett is a really good backup quarterback for Kyler Murray, and it's really cool to see kind of a different quarterback taking a look at different looks and, moving the offense down the field. Kyler Murray's done his, he's actually looked pretty solid. I know that the interception is the main thing that people are talking about, but he's been using his legs a lot more, and I think that's what he's going to be trying to do in 2025, because what makes Kyler Murray dynamic is him using his athletic ability to be that guy. But we also did see a lot of the young guys here on the defensive side of the ball as well. Like Jordan Birch had an absolute crazy game, 3rd-round pick for the Arizona Cardinals. Unfortunately, we still haven't seen Walter Nolan. He's still on the PUP list, but we saw a good dosage of Will Johnson. He did get a PI call on him, but overall it looked pretty solid as a rookie. But this is one of the very few times that we're starting to see these rookies for the Arizona Cardinals kind of getting thrown into the fire and being a big impact for the Arizona Cardinals, whether it's on the defensive line, the secondary, or anywhere on the defensive side of the ball. But this was a good, exciting game from the beginning all the way to the end. Now, a lot of people don't want to talk about the Clayton Tune interception, which was a really bad interception as well. But, for his respected right, Clayton Tune did pretty decent. But Amari DeMarcado, our 3rd-string running back, had a crazy game. So Xavier Weaver, another guy that, undrafted last year, he got himself a touchdown as well from Jacoby Brissett, but overall looked pretty good. Now, yes, we came out with the W over the Kansas City Chiefs, but, Patrick Mahomes literally played like one drive and he got a touchdown. But I mean, in our defense, he did start like already in the red zone. So red zone, Pacheco got about 8 to 9 yards, and there was a PI call, and then it was a fade route on over to the right side and just touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes didn't really need to play very much, but it was good. It was an exciting game.
Travis Kelce would have been in attendance if he weren't debuting the new Taylor Swift album. That's what he was busy doing, so he wasn't out there in the middle of the game. I was kind of shocked to see Mahomes playing a little bit. But it's funny, over the past weekend here, I know Josh Allen didn't play, but, we saw Burrow out there. We saw Patrick Mahomes out there. I think we're starting to see some more of this, especially from Cincinnati's perspective because of the slow starts they've had in the beginning of the year. And then, of course, for you, Mike, you see Kyler Murray out there getting some reps in. I know Brandon highlighted the rookie draft class and how they looked over the weekend here, in particular, in totality, rather, for this rookie draft class for the Cardinals. Anything stand out to you there? And, from the perspective of looking at it and their whole body of work, were you impressed by what you saw from those guys?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think we're really leaning heavily on Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. Biggest reason as to why is obviously Sean Murphy-Bunting being done for the season. And on top of that, another starter went down as well in training camp with Starling Thomas V. So we kind of had to throw this young man into the fire. And he got a lot of reps in week 1 of preseason. He looked good. Of course, he's not going to be a shutdown cornerback from the rip. But, as time goes on, we're starting to see those intangibles. And he looked pretty solid. But like I said, it's only week 1 of preseason. So I'm not going to get absolutely excited. I think what people are really more excited is our 3rd round pick in Jordan Birch. He should have had 2 sacks this game, but every single time he made some sort of play, there was that flag thrown by a ref, not on his behalf. Either it was a secondary or some imaginary call, but Jordan Birch, edge rusher out of Oregon, looked pretty darn solid. So I think people were excited about him, as well as Denzel Burke, another cornerback out of Ohio State. We've seen a lot of different rookies kind of shine a lot in preseason, but we're excited about, week 2. We don't know if the starters are going to be starting versus Denver. We know we have a joint practice coming this Thursday, so a lot of people are going to be keeping their eyes on that, but we're also excited to see if these starters are going to be starting in week 2. I say throw them out there for at least a drive. If I was Jonathan Gannon, I would. Any rep can help out this offense from not starting off slow, and we know the Cardinals start off slow, unfortunately, but that's just my 2 cents.
If TD's watching, I recommend he goes and watch the Jared Stidham tape against the San Francisco 49ers, because that's what a real quarterback looks like. He's relying on Tua to get it done in Miami. Why not take a look at Jared Stidham, who went 14 of 15, a $136, 2 touchdowns against Jesse's 49ers, 30-9 victory for Denver. We saw a limited role from Mac Jones in this game and a triple threat, so to speak, for the quarterback position for San Francisco. Obviously, no Brock Purdy featured in this game. 30-9. I'm sure, Jesse, you had a couple of Niners fans on your social media feed freaking out about it. But from your perspective, were there positives that you were able to take away from the loss to Denver over the weekend?
There was a ton of positives to take away. First of all, let's put the score in perspective. It was 30-9. It was 9-0 at the end of the first quarter. The 49ers were up. That was the second string 49ers versus the starting Broncos team, and they were up 9-0. That was the context of how that game actually went. So with that said, yeah, there's a ton to take away. First of all, Robert Saleh's back. Absolutely fantastic seeing him on the sideline, watching him dial up pressures. It's finally nice to see that the 49ers have a defensive coordinator that they can rely on. And Robert Saleh, we all know, is really, really good. That run defense was as advertised. Say what you want about the rookies. Yes, all rookies are going to struggle from, one extent to another. But mostly what I can say is all of those rookies physically look like they belong in the NFL. And you look at the interior of that defensive line that is made up mostly, of Alfred Collins and CJ West and those rookies they're going to have to rely on. They definitely held up in the run game. There was nothing there for the Denver Bronco offense. And the most surprising thing to me was, again, it was the second string defense versus the first string offense of Denver. And you could tell that Denver thought that they were just going to come out there and put a touchdown on the board and then get out of there. They tried to go deep multiple times. Obviously, there's no Diamador Lenore, Renardo Green, or even an Upton Stout out there. But it was guys like Chase Lucas making plays, multiple pass breakups. Knicks looked absolutely awful. And this isn't to dog on the Broncos in any way. In fact, the reason I'm so encouraged is because I have the Broncos as one of those teams that might make it to a Super Bowl out of the AFC. Like, if there was a dark horse Super Bowl team out of the AFC, I would probably give it to a team like the Broncos. I just think that they are so put together. Their roster from top to bottom is one of the best in the NFL. So to watch the 49ers go out there and have a 9-0 lead, backups versus starters, I don't think that there's anything that I could be upset about.
From that rookie draft class in particular, I'll ask you the same question I asked Mike there. Just the overall body of work. Were you impressed with what you saw? And did it translate from what you've seen in camp? Did it kind of ride into the preseason game? And from what you've heard, you kind of were able to see that on display?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, special teams. We don't talk special teams a lot around here, but Junior Bergen, 7th round pick for the 49ers. A lot of people laughed at that draft pick. He looked really, really good in the return game. Watkins definitely flashed. Unfortunately, he picked up a high ankle sprain, but he had the big throw from Mac Jones down the field, went to him again against starters. So, yeah, we definitely saw that. And then the rookies on the defensive line flash as well. I think CJ West certainly flashed, and as did Alfred Collins. Maybe not so much in the pass rush for either one of them, but they're immovable when it comes to the Denver starting offensive line. They couldn't get them out of the way to help their run game whatsoever. So, yeah, I would say that the rookies did a really good job in this game. It was impressive.
Let's move on to the Rams, putting up over 30 on the Dallas Cowboys, who are heading into the year with a brand new coach. And I was doing the NFC East roundtable earlier, and my man Jay Tuck, who represents the Cowboys, said he was awfully concerned with the effort that he saw from Dallas. He just felt like they did not show up to play. And it wasn't a concern that he had based on the preseason game, but it was more of a concern of what that means for this team going into the year. Looks like the Rams were able to take advantage of that, winning by 10. It's up in the air, obviously, every year with Dallas. You just never know, with Jerry obviously putting Micah Parsons in a tough situation, Dak coming off of an injury, first time ever head coach, and Brian Schottenheimer. And the Rams were able to give them their first test of the season. They put up over 30, led by Stetson Bennett. Jake, talk to me. What did you like from the Rams W over the Dallas Cowboys at SoFi in week 1?
I think the better question is, what didn't I like, right? The running back room looked great. Stetson Bennett finally looked really good. He looked poised in the pocket, comfortable, methodical. The Rams ran roughshod of the Cowboys. I mean, it was 31-21. It felt like 31-10. It really didn't feel close. Xavier Smith made a huge play on a 4th and 6. Bennett just threw an absolute dot, down to the goal line. And, you saw some really good things from the offensive line. Willie Lampkin was, I think, maybe my most excited thing about this game, because this is a guy that I really was excited for when they signed him as a UDFA. And you see him play at UNC, and you see just and I think I've mentioned him on here before. If I did, good. If I didn't, it is what it is. But Willie Lampkin is 5'10", 290, and he showed everyone on Saturday he can play in this league. And the question wasn't, does he have the technique? The question wasn't, is the leverage there? It was always there. The question was, is it going to work in the NFL? And I understand it's not against starters, but I don't care. Willie Lampkin was dishing out pancakes left and right. He had a 94 PFF grade, which is the second highest among all interior offensive linemen in the NFL for preseason. He was absolutely stellar, and I think the Rams now have to keep him because of how much noise he's making. He was not drafted because of the size. But the question is, if he, let's just say he was 6'1", 6'2", are we really sure that he doesn't, end up being in the top 50, top 75 picks? He's that good when you look at just his overall body of work, his technique, his activeness. I mean, this guy is just always playing until the whistle. So Lampkin, it looks like they got another really good one. There were other guys as well. KT Leviston at left tackle. Bo Limmer played a bit in this game. So, there's a lot to like. Quesenberry over at right tackle. The defense was fun. They were flying all over the ball, really violent. Josiah Stewart, the rookie out of Michigan, with a sack. AJ Green had 2 pass breakups, looked good. Lampkin had a crazy interception. Cam Lampkin, the other Lampkin in this game for the Rams. Sean Dolak and Chris Paul Jr. were also flying all over the place. It's a fun team to watch right now. It's just preseason, but you can see the culture there. It's rubbing off on these guys, and I wasn't really surprised that they came out with the fire they did, but I was surprised to see Bennett look as sharp as he did, and really a lot of these guys back up what we've been hearing all over camp. And really what that has been is that this team is hungry, and it goes from Matthew Stafford all the way down to the 90th man on this roster. They believe they will win the Super Bowl. They believe they can win the Super Bowl. They believe there's unfinished business, especially when you look at Philadelphia. They feel like they should have won that game, and they're going into this season with that energy. And more so, you look at the joint practices with the Cowboys, and I don't know if J-Tuck hit on that, but everything I heard was, and it wasn't from Rams guys necessarily, from Dallas reporters. The Rams destroyed Dallas. Their starters, it was not close. And Jimmy Garoppolo was the one in charge of the offense. So I'm just saying, I think the Rams are really good. I think the Cowboys could be horrifically bad this year. I'm just saying that right now.
Seabot, can we do a quick thing around the line on this, just because this could be a developing situation? I always like these answers from these guys on this. If Micah Parsons became available, guys, give me your answer if you would trade for him, and then what would you give up to get him if he became available right now?
I personally wouldn't trade for Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons is a hell of a player, but the 49ers are in a situation where they're basically paying 2 quarterback contracts already between Bosa and Purdy. They definitely can't afford a third if they want any sort of depth on this team. And also, Micah Parsons isn't the best run defender. When people run right at him, it's still an issue. It has been for a while, and it's just his build. I mean, he can only be so great there. So, great player. I would hate it if he ended up in the division. Trust me, if one of your teams got Micah Parsons, I'd be hot about that, but not so mad that I want the 49ers to trade for him.
I mean, I would love the Arizona Cardinals to trade for a Micah Parsons.
Should.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right now with the guys that we have, I think we only really have like one solidified edge rusher with other talent out there. I know I just kind of gloated about, Jordan Birch, and, we also got Xavier Thomas going into his year 2. We got Baron Browning and then Zaven Collins, and we don't know what the hell is happening with B.J. Ojolari, but like there's still that missing X factor that would be such a really good a duo, right? Like the guys that we know can do it in the league, but will Monty Austin-Fort do it? Like that's what I always kind of go back to. Anytime I'm talking about should the Cardinals do this, whether it's Terry McLaurin or even Micah Parsons, it's always go back to will Monty Austin-Fort do a move like this? But if it was up to me, I would. I feel like this is a year where it's so pivotal of this offense. Kyler Murray, Drew Petzing, it all rides on this to continue that trajectory, to continue to get better and better and better. And we do need another X factor, on the defense, which I think our defense is already pretty good, but like that would be an amazing asset for the Arizona Cardinals to do something like that. Now, like, what would we give up? He's not going to be cheap, right? It'd probably be
2 1s, 2 2s.
Yeah. First round picks, maybe a 2 or a third, or maybe 2 2s. I would throw a player in there as well. I'm not sure if they want Zaven Collins, but we would give out an edge rusher because we do got a plethora of them. I'm not sure if they're interested in any of those guys that we have, but I would consider doing something like that. If it was, 2 firsts and then, a 2 and a 3 and then a player, I would be more than comfortable doing that. I feel like that would be the cherry on top of this ice cream for the Arizona Cardinals. Will they do it? Probably not, but I would love it.
I can see the Cardinals doing it. The worry with you would be then, because you guys are like already towing your way out of the Kyler thing. You throw that draft, and then you don't have a method to go get a quarterback. You got maybe a dominant defense starting to come together.
True.
But
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tough
Joe
situation.
Burrow, maybe you just wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you do something like this, you do paint yourself into a wall, because you do have Kyler technically for believe 2026, and I think it kind of eases up a little bit in 2027. I know the option is always to potentially trade if things don't work out, this year, but this is such a pivotal year for like this organization in general, right? If it doesn't go well, we can go right back to the dumps, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, for me. And I know Rams fans are going to love this answer because I'm just going to tell you, Micah Parsons is one of my absolute favorite players in the sport. Okay. So I love him. But where's the need? Because I understand, like, I already believe this team has enough to win the Super Bowl. I do. But it's not even that I'm worried about, oh, well, somebody goes down and it's like, now we don't have that draft capital. I look at it like, and I totally I get it, right? I understand being all in, but at the same time, they're not all in because you can still win a Super Bowl and not be all in. All in is essentially putting everything in the pot and just be like, all right, let it rip. We'll see what happens. If nothing happens, then I come home empty-handed. The Rams got a first-round pick by pure negligence from the Falcons. We all talked about that, right? They shouldn't have a first-round pick from that. That was silly. So you don't then just be like, well, Let's trade them both for Micah Parsons and then also pay him $40 million when we got to pay Jared Verse and Byron Young and Steve Avila and Kobe Turner and Puka Nacua. Like, the Rams just drafted 24 guys the last 2 years, not including this draft. 24 guys, okay? And they hit on a lot of them. Unfortunately, the way the NFL works is you get penalized when you actually draft well because now you have to pay all those guys. Oh, yeah, you'll get, compensatory picks when they leave, but there's no soft cap. So you can't just sign everyone. So if you get a Micah Parsons, you might lose a Steve Avila. If you get a Micah Parsons, you might not just lose Steve Avila, you might not be able to match what you're going to pay Jared Verse or what he's going to be asking for, right? You might just have to go about the same thing that they're doing right now with Micah Parsons and just try and franchise him as long as you can. I love Micah Parsons. And would he be a great fit? Yes. What I don't subscribe to is why teams have to give up so much for him when they're going to be paying him $40-50 million. Yeah. And that's the thing that just I'm out on, because I'm not trading Byron Young and 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick like, what people say they would do in a hurry. I'm not doing that because this is not the MLB where there's no salary cap. You can't just spend, you can't just defer your payments. This is a salary cap era. So you can't actually do that and get away with it. So you
Eagles
would
are doing a
pay
pretty good
the
job
penalty. Yeah, but this would be a completely different ball game. You go out, you get Micah Parsons, who, again, we just saw the first real contract was Myles Garrett in the $50 million range. This is the new age. So they already have a guy in Jared Verse I believe they're saving up to pay. They already have a guy in Puka Nacua that they want to pay. I just don't think they'd be able to. And again, I don't see why Arizona would have to give up 2 first-round picks and players when as great as Micah Parsons is, and I love the guy, what leverage does Dallas have right now? He is showing no signs that he wants to play there. Why am I giving you players and picks when you're also saying I have to pay him too? It's not like it's a great, controllable contract. I'm going to have to give him max value. So that's how I look at it. I understand how some people are going to look at it. I understand how the Madden bros are going to look at this. Oh, yeah, we could get this done overnight. It'll take 2 seconds. I'll do it on Madden. But there is actually a reason why on both sides. I can understand people being for it and people being against it. I don't want to say I'm against getting him, but I'm against essentially what it would take to get him.
Fair.
You didn't mention the biggest perk of getting him.
What's that?
Aaron Donald, fresh out of retirement.
I'm kind of tired of seeing that because it's like, come on, AD, we know you're not coming back. Because
would that make you say yes if it was true?
I mean, well, the question is AD taking the veteran minimum? Is he going to be a team player here, or is he going to ask for 30, 40 million?
No, you'll be tight as hell against the cap. He'll take less than was on the books. He'll take a little less. You're saying no, you're crazy. Say no to that. Get out of here. Donald comes back, you get Parsons.
All right. I mean, yeah, I would do it. My thing is, I know how badly, the Rams really like Arch Manning. So, and there is still a chance he comes out. I'll tell you right now, if the Rams have a pick in the top 10, say the Falcons are as bad as I think they're going to be, then yes, Arch Manning is going to have to consider coming out and realizing, I could go to a good organization, or I could wait next year and go to the Saints or the Browns. That's a hard question to answer. But no, Arch Manning, Sellers, they've done a lot of work on Aller. I think they thought maybe he could come out last year. So there are guys that they have been eyeing, and I think they're more likely to take their 2026 first round pick if Arch doesn't come out and trade back into 2027. So they have 2 in 2027 than they are to make this trade for Parsons. That's what I think.
You want to know Johnny what my worst nightmare would be real quick? Sorry.
Go for it, Jesse.
I don't know why for the last year I've thought that this could be a possibility. Stafford is done. You guys somehow go and get Joe Burrow. Like, he decides he wants out of Cincy, and then Burrow ends up in this division. And the fact that you guys got another first round pick for next year, it scares me even more. There's no way. I swear. I mean, just wrap
Never
up the
forgive
division
Falcons.
forever.
We'll never forgive the Falcons.
Ever.
Like they
No.
forever, they
True.
will forever be one of the freaking, like, I'll hate you forever. I'll hope the worst for you forever for doing that. Why did you have to do that? You had no
Yeah.
reason to do that.
Hey, it's only fair, man. That Lions trade, they got so lucky the first year.
Only fair. Come
The-
on,
the-
man. You
the-
guys
the-
already had Stafford. Get out of here.
The Lions got a top 6 draft pick. Like, what? They made that trade thinking they're going to be 32, 30, 28. No, they got a 6th overall draft pick. Nah. It's time. It's time.
What about
It's
you,
not.
Brendan?
It's time for you guys to be in some
It-
purgatory
no,
hell.
it's
without a
happened
quarterback for a couple
twice.
Years, like
It's
all of us have
happened-
to live in.
It has happened
Like,
twice.
That's the reality we all
No.
live in.
No, it's happened twice. Plus, we were the Sosar Rams. This is our time now. It's happened twice. Go back to the Goff trade. The Titans end up getting a 5th overall pick because they're so bad that year. And then it happens in the Stafford deal. They end up getting the 6th overall pick, and it goes to the Lions. So we had to watch 2 seasons in which the team was dog water, injuries galore,
A whole
And-
2 seasons.
they literally top 6 picks to both teams they traded with. And I don't feel like people talk about that nearly enough. You don't know how painful that. Actually, you do. You do, Brando. But you don't know how. Oh, no, you don't. Because the Broncos went through that, not the Seahawks. It was the other way around, right? So that's the thing. You don't know how painful it is to make that trade. And then you're sitting there and the team's terrible. And your pick at the end of the year is going to a team that's better than you.
We had the Jamal Adams trade. Yes, we did do that.
Jamal. Oh, okay.
Bottom is-
Yes. No, it was you. You're right. Because yes,
Wasn't
that's
6,
right. Because
but it
the
was
Jets
10.
were dog water. No, that counts. So you do get it.
Yeah. I feel all the Hawk fans have felt all the pain. There's no doubt. We've gone through and felt all of it.
Hey, I know Sean McVay is a savant and everything, but before Sean McVay, it was not very good over here. Jeff Fisher, Steve Spagnuolo,
Yeah, but you've had a
Scott
good long run.
Linehan.
You need a couple. We need a couple breather years.
Dynasty was stolen by the
Bring that back.
Patriots. I mean, come on. Greatest show on turf should have had 3 Super Bowls. It has not been pleasant over in Ramland. It has since McVay came over, but before that, I mean, they were in purgatory.
Short little 10-year period of just pure success. It's been just,
Johnny Reese has it happy in Ramland, regardless of whether or not you get Micah Parsons, by the way, Jake. He's got the Rams winning the division with or
agree.
without Micah Parsons. Brandon, you
That's
posed
the
the
right
question,
answer.
so I'll pose it back to you. Would you like to see your Seattle Seahawks make a move on Micah Parsons?
Yeah, I'm open to it. I am. I think that there's not a lot of times you get opportunities to trade for a guy like this, and I think the Hawks have a package they could put together. Quite frankly, I'm surprised to hear Jake's not in the same place. I get Jesse. I get. I think Mike. It's no respect. I just don't think the edges have done enough. Zayvon Collins or Ojolari that you'd be trying.
Yeah.
There's just not enough there as far as that to be good enough as a secondary package point to lower down the trade capital. Whereas a Byron Young with the Rams or a Mafe or a Hall with us potentially can lower down what you have to give up in totality there on the draft return side of it. But I just feel like those guys aren't enough of a difference maker in how they've played up until this point. That makes me feel like we got to hold on to them. We have a decision coming down the line with Boye Mafe within a year where he's going to be a street free agent. So to give him up in a trade as a capital, and then it's less of a hurt there. And then what you do for that defense, good effing luck. I got Leonard Williams, I have Byron Murphy, I've got edges for days, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, Uchenna Nwosu, whenever he needs to come in for like 10 snaps a game to bring whatever he can. I mean, I still got one of Derek Hall or Boye Mafe on the other side of it. I just think that with the secondary you're building with your inside linebackers, that has got a great chance of being the most dominating defense in the NFL. And I don't think it's a big imagination point to go to there.
What would you pay for it?
I would do 2 first-round picks. I'd kick him an edge, and I'd kick a second-round pick in addition.
They would ask for a running back. I'm telling you right now. They would ask for Charbonnet, or they would ask for.
I don't think the deal doesn't get done
Walker.
because we don't give him a running back. I refuse to believe that that's a
Which one would
deal-breaker
you trade
situation.
if you had to trade one of those guys?
Well, I don't know if it makes as much sense for us to include a running back losing McIntosh, and now those 2 guys are our 2 guys. That's where you're riding with. So I just don't know if that makes as much sense. But Walker, I don't think he's part of the long-term answer. So I don't want to pay running backs anyway. I think the model is you draft running backs, you roll them through, and then you don't pay them, and then you go draft others. You can draft them high, but I think that you're in trouble town when you start paying running backs, and that you tend to look at those deals and regret them by more often than not. I think the Bills and Z-Bot's Bills right now this is what they're trying to avoid with Dalvin Cook. They know damn well, second we sign this guy for $20 million a year, he is going to break down like a Pinto in 1979. And so I'm in the same place on that. So I'll go with Walker if it's really got to be what they got to drive to, but then you're getting one less, let's say, second round pick. It's lowering down the draft capital. You don't get to go 2 first and all these players and all this. There is some leverage involved here, especially given we have to pay him. I'll give up the goods, but I'm not going to bend over. So I'd do it. Yeah. For what it would do to that defense. I think that's unquestioned would be a number 1 defense in the NFL if you added Micah Parsons.
I could see it. I could actually see that. I just assume anytime one of these guys becomes available, they're going to the NFC West.
Well, that's because, and that's part of why we've been and it's underrated. That's why we've been one of the more competitive divisions for a 10-year period and gone through so many different fluctuations. A Harbaugh to a Shanahan, you guys ride with McVay, us rolling down to McDonald from Carroll and still finding success. And the Cardinals even always finding at least a good footing as a floor to where you get a little bit of fluctuation on them. And that's because we're competitive as hell. And we're always trying to drive and do aggressive stuff. Where you look at a team like the Cowboys that just sort of sit around there, just going to hang, do what we do. But in America, we're a lot of drama, 6 inches, 8 inches, which is it? It's a lot of that. And instead of just like, look, what do we got to do to go be great? Like put the pedal down to the floor. What does it cost? I don't care. I got billions. It don't matter.
They love paying everyone around the guy that they should pay.
Well, you mean the Cowboys?
Yeah, they're obsessed
and then they
with
wait.
it.
Well, they always wait too late, and then they always overpay. That's the thing. This Micah thing. It's like, I still don't know what they're gaining in this situation.
They're gaining nothing.
You talk crap about your player. You stretch negotiations out, and then you make him the highest paid at the sport by far. Dak's been the highest paid guy in average for 2 straight years.
Maybe it's just a Dallas thing with Luka Doncic.
maybe the Heat's getting to him down there. Or something,
I don't know, man. It feels like you have a franchise player. It's like
thinking they know what's up. That's all it is.
Alex Marin reading my mind, by the way. Z Booty thinking, screw all y'all, Parsons to the Bills. I can't lie, my brain has been wandering a bit during this conversation, but Brandon, you just nailed it. My brain's wandering. You guys are cooking up hypotheticals. At the end of the day, Jerry Jones is going to pay him $45 million 2 days before the start of the season, and that's what we all know is going to be the reality here. It's incredible, and I think this is why he does do it. Now, the only difference between this one and the situations Jerry Jones has found himself in the past is Micah Parsons flat out said, I no longer want to be a Cowboy. Right. That's where I really thought this was a stark difference between all the BS that Jerry Jones has kind of dealt with or put upon himself when it comes to negotiating contracts with his best players in this particular situation. And you mentioned running backs, the James Cook saga continues, yet another odd chapter today. I was one more hold in from potentially is arguing that maybe that would be the move the Bills should make. But, the $45 million a year mark is the one thing you got to hone in on. And I think Jesse said it. The run defense is the one thing you worry about with his dominance and being able to get after the quarterback. If you are able to mitigate that, you are able to run the ball. But the Bills have been looking for a pass rusher forever. And Brandon Beane's going into year 9. They continuously try to rotate through guys. So I would obviously be interested, no question about it. But at the end of the day, I think we all know what's going to happen here. And Brandon, back to your point, what's the gain here other than a couple of more conversation points on First Take? I have no idea, yet they continuously do it.
Well, and last point on this, you mentioned that last point, which is just that this one's gone a little bit further than those other ones went. And for Micah to get where he's gotten, that's why I wanted to bring this question up to these guys, because we have been so hyper aggressive in the past. And if a trade like this comes down, it will come down overnight, right? Like it's not going to be one with probably a lot of buildup. It's happening in the background and nobody's hearing about it. And it's one that I just wonder about with Micah on that. And with Jerry looking at his Cowboys getting boat raced by the Rams throughout the week. And then at that preseason game where he's like, all right, we're going to pay $50 million and we're still going to suck. What? I'm 90. I don't think he's going to want to do that. I just, that's the part where I go, wouldn't you? I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to pay him just to be ass. I'm going to pay him to be third in the division.
That's why everything they have done up until this point kind of confuses me, because they have so much money invested in such a small handful of players and no one looks at them to be a threat. So I don't know. Pains me zero. The Dallas Cowboys currently have the longest NFC Championship appearance drought, and I don't think anybody in here is going to shed a tear or lose an hour of sleep if they go into a 30th year this upcoming year not making one. Before we get to the negatives around the table from preseason week 1, time to tell you about our friends over at RotoWire, the proud sponsor of the NFC West Roundtable. Showed you last week, and I got to show you again, their NFL fantasy tool. It's my favorite tool to use as I gear up for a fantasy draft coming around the corner for me in 2 weeks, right before the start of the regular season. Make sure you get all the preseason games out of the way. That way you're not picking a guy that might not be available. RotoWire's got you covered to make sure that you get a step up above the competition. The layout is the best I've seen, truly. Just the way that they have this all laid out, the ease of use, the graphics, visually, and all the information that it has. And then also the customization options, they're top-notch, unlike anything else I've seen. This is the surefire way to get a leg up on the competition in your fantasy drafts, which are coming around the corner here within the next couple of weeks. Use the promo code RTS. The link is in the description below. That'll get you a 15% off discount on a premium subscription on RotoWire. Make sure to take advantage of that. Not only can you use it for the fantasy drafts, but they also have so much information throughout the year that you can utilize for a variety of different things. Take advantage. Link in the description below. Promo code is RTS. And one more thing of note, we really can't wait for people to take advantage of this because it's going to be a lot of fun. In fact, on the NFC East Roundtable earlier today, we had our first Patreon phone call, and that sparked a massive Jalen Hurts debate that lasted 25 minutes. We had a call in, and the question was, who could have won the Super Bowl with the Eagles last year outside of Jalen Hurts? And man, did that thing spin around the round table. And that was a topic brought to the table by a Patreon member. That could be you, folks. You know how much we get into it here on the NFC West Roundtable. You could be a part of it. All you have to do is become a Patreon member. The link is in the description below. Just click it, sign up, boom, you're ready to rock, and you'll have the eligibility to call in each and every week. And it's just the preseason right now. And, you know, we've already had some great discussion. Just wait till we get to the regular season and you can add on top of it whatever you'd like. We can get into, we already had our Jimmy Garoppolo mention for the day. Make sure to knock that off, but you can come in and talk about Lyle or whatever might be on your mind. So take advantage. Links in the description below. All right. So one of the unfortunate realities of preseason is that there's a lot of gross football, right? You're watching to see the shining moments from the guys you're hoping are going to pan out for your team. You're hoping to see development from the younger players, and you're just kind of looking for little things within the game. But the broad spectrum here, for the most part, it's a rough watch. Not only just the football on the field, by the way, the local broadcasts, too, are always a very interesting watch. They just seem like they're being done by, you know, some sort of school, like a local school is kind of doing the broadcast. So the whole thing isn't the easiest watch. And part of it not being all that easy is seeing mistakes being made by a litany of players, whether they're going to be making the team or not. So, Brandon, I started with you with the positives. I'll kick it off here with you on the negatives. What stood out to you with your Seahawks that you did not like over the weekend here?
It's harder on this one because we went to what I would say the fourth string run of the team would be added. These are guys that would be even guys you wouldn't even be looking to get onto the practice squad. And you're seeing their failures at times into the third quarter, combined with the fact the Raiders run with their second string quarterback into very much the depths of the third quarter. And so they did start to allow where you'd gotten up on the Raiders, you had the game in control, the game started to slide back. It was really on the back of those four stringers being out there. But if I was to go to maybe a couple of specific guys who had a little bit of struggles in this game, I think I was hoping a little bit more for Damian Martinez. George Holani, the former Boise State kid, came out and he was really dynamic and he busted off some nice runs. Jarcadia Wright, another UDFA guy, did that as well. The guy that I think even me and I know at least Jesse was high on him as well in the panel here, being Damian Martinez out of Miami, just didn't look quite as good as what I saw from Miami. Didn't look as explosive, didn't look like he was able to break through his tackles as well, which was a little disconcerting. You also got kind of the full Drew Lock experience. He was the guy that started out this game, played through the first two quarters. He will make some throws where you go, wow, what a really nice, easy throwing motion. And he's got some velocity on those throws and he can put them into some tight windows and he can make some good decisions. But then when you get him making a bad decision, it's a pretty blatantly bad one at that, where you just kind of go, ooh, and on the interception he made where he was late, moving to his left, throwing the ball into a place where the corner could kind of undercut it for the pick. It was kind of bad all the way around, but it wasn't purely bad performance. I think this is just kind of what you get with Drew Lock at times. I think his game has grown and he has improved a little bit, but that would be the part where I'd say there's a little bit of diciness there. And then the final part I'd point to is just the offensive line outside of where now you had the Grays able getting in there and he's solid. You feel good about your tackles. it still does remain a little bit of a work in progress, what you're doing at center and what you're doing at guard. I'd hope, Zbot, that this team was going to settle down really quickly early on in training camp and get their starters in place, get the continuity and cohesion factor coming into play instead of it being a revolving door here and there and here and there. There's a couple of revolving doors right now when it comes to sort of center and the right guard position, and that's got me just a little concerned.
Jesse, I know you were overall impressed with the rookie draft class, but anything stand out to you from your Niners that you did not like in preseason week 1?
Yeah, there was a few things. As much as I praise the defensive tackles for the 49ers, the 2 rookies and West and trying to blink on the other guy. Either way.
Collins?
Yeah, Collins. There we go. Thank you for coming through for me, Brandon. I appreciate
I got you.
Yeah, but as much as I loved what they did in the run game, there was no pressure generated on the quarterback unless it was manufactured by Robert Saleh. And that is truly one of my concerns going into this year period. Is it's great. You're going to get a lot of teams to third down, but if you can't generate pressure, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. You give quarterbacks 4 seconds in this league and they're going to convert. So seeing it play out was a little bit worrisome. Obviously, there's no Nick Bosa on the field, but Huff did play, and Huff was a guy that they traded for. Listen, the Huff trade for me was like, all right, there's nothing big that they're losing. It's a low risk, high reward type of trade. But Huff has had one good year. And it's not like he had the one. Okay, so he was great only with Robert Saleh. He played for 3 years with Robert Saleh and wasn't productive for 2 of them. And he hasn't been productive in 4 out of the 5 years he's been in the league. So he was almost non-existent in that game, which was surprising to me. He should have looked a little bit better. And then I would say that the depth at offensive tackle is non-existent. I mean, we pretty much knew this, but it has gotten worse with Jalen Moore going to the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a clear running back issue right now, tons of injuries. Where's the talent coming from? And what's crazy is the guy that we worried about most with injury was CMC, who's coming off of an injury and 29 years old, and he's the only guy that can stay healthy. And then last but not least, the only rookie I really didn't mention in the positive was Nick Martin. Nick Martin, I think, can be a good player, but drafting him in round 3 was still absolutely absurd. I don't care what anybody says. Nick Martin was not a 3rd round pick. And especially when you look at how that whole run went, it was like 60 something picks between linebackers other than Nick Martin. The 49ers may have crushed this draft, but it doesn't mean that they didn't reach. And that is one of my biggest issues with the 49ers, is that they tend to pick players that they could have gotten a round or 2 later. And I think that it hurts them. And I think Nick Martin is one of those players, even if he ends up being a good one.
Mike, I'm not sure if the Kyler Murray interception is going to make its way onto your list. Of course, the Monday morning quarterbacks are all over that on Twitter. I didn't see anything from the Cardinals game other than that. Of course, that's what happens during preseason, right? You can't make a mistake if you're a veteran quarterback. But outside of that, what did you not love from your Arizona Cardinals in preseason week 1?
Let me kind of touch on this Kyler Murray situation real quick. It's not so much that it was an interception and, oh man, it happens, right? It was just the terrible decision and terrible throw. Like, he made a dot but to the opposing team, like literally in the breadbasket of that player. Like, and he did come out, said that he needed to put a little bit more air on it. And when you like really look into it, like, he probably should have tossed it to Trey McBride instead of forcing it on over to Marvin Harrison Jr. over there. But man, it was a really good play for the defensive side of the ball. Now there's some Kyler Murray stands out there saying, "Oh, it's a no look pass." That's what he was trying to do. Regardless of the situation, is the throw was sent on over, and it wasn't a good throw. So he's gonna learn from it. I'd rather it happen in this week 1 as opposed to the regular season week 1. So I hope we don't see that in week 2, especially if we see some starters. But overall, when I see this game versus the Kansas City Chiefs, I didn't see very much negatives, to be honest with you. Now, like I said earlier, Patrick Mahomes, only played 1 drive and probably was like less than 2 minutes when he scored a touchdown. Would I like to give, a little bit more, I guess, make it less easier for him to score a touchdown? Yeah, of course. But like, it really didn't help that the Cardinals had the fumble just at the very start, first of the play. Greg Dortch fumbles the ball. So they already start in the red zone, or at least close. And then Pacheco gets a big run, and then the PI call. And so they were already at the 2 or 3 yard line, and then like the fade route. So I would like to see the defense play better, especially the first stringers against Patrick Mahomes. But overall, I mean, when you're seeing these second and third stringers, I just have the mindset of what can we do to like hopefully get these guys better, right? Or what are these guys doing like in the intangibles of, do they look good in their first game, or their second year players, are they getting better since last year, right? That's kind of really more that I'm looking for. So like, I'm not really seeing anything egregious or anything bad. I think they played a really solid game. I'm happy for the win. Kansas City Chiefs, let's go. I'll take the W any which way. So yeah, I thought it was an overall well-rounded game.
You're damn right, Mike. Show those posers who's coming to town.
Hey,
Arizona.
Technically, too, due to his height, every throw Kyler Murray makes is a no-look pass.
Damn. Sheesh.
Why'd you guys not pick up Willie Lampkin at 5'10"? He'd be a perfect setter for
He was
Kyler.
just sitting there waiting for you.
I mean, come on. Tailor made.
With the whole Kyler Murray situation, like, this is big year, man. It really is. And he's going to continue to get shit on. And rightfully so. Year 7 of, can you win these big games? And for the people out there that are just waiting for this year to end, because believe it or not, there's a portion of Cardinal fans who are just like, I'm just going to not even watch this because they know that what's going to happen towards the end of the season. To me, I'm going in optimistic that he's going to finally get it right. But it's about consistency. Can you win November, December football? We have yet to see it. So big year. Let's see what happens.
When does Call of Duty 7 come out?
Oh, good God.
Early release this year.
Yeah, early.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
November, probably.
What would happen if they released it in September?
Oh,
What-
Lord.
Oh,
What-
yeah, then we're screwed.
Like,
He's out of the league in 6 months.
Yeah, we're cooked.
Can you even call it Call of Duty anymore? I saw a clip the other day. Someone had a gun it was a roller coaster.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you
too.
see that?
I'm out.
I haven't played in forever. I didn't even know that stuff existed. So
Yeah, I stopped with sports games because I played all the scenarios, and I stopped with Call of Duty. It's the same thing over and over again. They're just trying to sell skins, and it's just
well,
It's
don't
bad.
tell that to QB1 in Arizona, Jake. Or
Well-
maybe do actually, for Mike's sake.
yeah,
Right.
clearly, or maybe he's a Battlefield 6 guy. I don't know, but
Yeah.
one of those he's gonna end up playing.
I mean, he's getting paid pretty handsomely for Call of Duty. I mean, he got
Yeah.
a pretty good payday for Call of Duty in this whole.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He signed this whole big partnership this last offseason. I believe it was his last offseason. A big partnership.
At least
with
he's
Call of
leaning
Duty.
into
He's
it.
embracing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's getting
He
paid
said,
pretty well.
most players would be like, let's just keep this under the table. Let's not announce
just-
it's kind of a thing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're good enough to play a video game and get paid an insane amount of money, I feel like it's hard to turn it down. But
Yeah.
Alex is saying, R.I.P. Kyler, COD 7 and Battlefield 6. He's cooked. But it sounds to me like Kyler's doing just fine, cashing checks, playing video games. Doesn't sound half bad to me. Jake, what was half bad or bad to you with your L.A. Rams over the weekend? What did you not like from the first preseason game?
It's hard to find something. I really liked the way they looked all around. I mean, I guess, being picky here, Konate Mumfield, with that, that drop earlier in the game. I mean, Stetson puts it right on the money, probably gets 30, 40 yards out of that. It's a catch and run, and he just drops it. And Mumfield is a guy that has been heavily talked about. He's had a great camp, and he's been compared to like what you see with Torrey Horton in Seattle. That's what the Rams, media has been talking about with Mumfield. But it was actually Xavier Smith, who people have already kind of written off the roster before this game, who emerged. So, yeah, Mumfield was a little disappointing. Not having Terrence Ferguson is really frustrating. He's dealing with a groin injury. He was back out today. He didn't actually practice like full with the team, but he was running routes. So they're going to be, cautious with him and whatnot. But, really, this team just didn't have a lot that I was like, and normally they're well coached where their depth always kind of shines. But guys, I'll tell you, the depth that they have this year is crazy. I mean, just, I was talking to some people, around the Rams organization, and they're saying they're fully expecting all of these defensive backs, whether they make the Rams team or not, and that's not possible for all of them to. These guys are going to be claimed on cut day. It's just, that's the reality of it. They have a lot of guys that are going to get claimed. So it's a stacked 90-man roster, and I think they're going to have a lot of guys. I would probably guess it's going to be very similar to the 2022 Jets team, where they just lost everybody. They tried to slide all these guys on the practice squad. I was covering them that year, and I'll never forget. They did not get one guy back. Everyone got picked up. Pinnock, all those guys. So I think it's going to be like that, unfortunately. The Rams normally like to slide guys on their practice squad. It does not sound like they'll be able to do that this time around because there's a lot of good corners, a lot of good safeties. They're stacked, and there's a chance that Sean Dolak, who I'm a big fan of, doesn't even make the roster. So I would say that would be my most disliked thing about this team is if they don't end up keeping Sean Dolak or Willie Lampkin, because those are like the two guys that I had the most fun watching for sure.
Dude, you gotta love Jake with the interview answer right there. Hey man, tell me your biggest weakness. I don't know, man. I just care too much. I try too hard.
What weakness? I'm sorry. They played the Cowboys. I should have just said, get back to me next week when they play a real team. because Stetson Bennett had an interception, right? But he was fantastic aside from that. And honestly, the interception, it was McQuamu. He basically was holding back Konate Mumfield. So it was just a no call, he runs out in front of it and picks it off. But yeah, I mean, that was really that. I mean, there wasn't really anything. Yeah, if you guys watched it, you'd be like, yeah, there really wasn't any negative with this game. Maybe the officiating, they were god awful. They should be fine.
Give you our time.
There we go.
Rams are the best team in the division. I agree with you.
Yeah. Didn't you guys also smack them around in the joint practice too? Didn't you guys smack them around?
Oh,
too?
So
Jimmy G was throwing no-look passes. What do you mean?
He was.
They smacked him around?
So Mike, let me hit you with this. I got a text from somebody that said they smacked around their starters in joint practice with Jimmy G more than this preseason game. It wasn't remotely close. And that's the thing is the one positive, if you're a Cowboys fan in here, the one positive I heard is it's going to be a problem to defend CeeDee Lamb and
Pickens.
Good Lord. I don't know how I almost forgot his name. CeeDee Lamb and Pickens are going to create matchup nightmares because they're so fast, they're so quick, and they can create separation. They're good route runners. They have that body control where Dak, he's got an arm. He could just throw it downfield and they're going to, get 2 feet in bounds, contort their body and make the play. But man, Devontae Adams just kept scoring touchdowns. Damn. They couldn't stop Tutu Atwell. He was behind the defense the whole time.
Damn.
And like you said, I mean, it's kind of funny, but Jimmy Garoppolo was just feeling it. He's just no look pass. Davis Allen is the fourth tight end is blowing by these. It really was just. And then I heard the offensive line, and that's where I was like, wait a minute. Alaric Jackson, their starting left tackle, he has been dealing with blood clots, so he's not playing. So it was DJ Humphries just kicking ass up front, just stonewalling dudes.
DJ.
That was pretty much the joint practice from what I heard. I'm bummed because I was looking forward to more of a challenge against the Chargers. I really think they got a good roster, and I hate that Rashawn Slater went down. They canceled that. So now they're going to do a joint practice against the Saints. So I think they're actually trying to be in competition to see if they could go up against the worst possible team as a barometer before the season. Because I don't know why the hell else you would get the Saints to be the joint practice team after going up against the Cowboys. But that's neither here nor there.
Get your Rams Super Bowl futures in while you can, folks. Lock them in.
Matter of time, baby. Matter of time.
We're around the hour mark, which means it's the best time of the show. Super chat time. We'll kick things off with Sir Cash Money. I already gave this one a glance, and man, wish me luck. Say a prayer here. Sup, Chooms? What you doing if you get chipped from a borked chrome from a gonked ripper? You're going to flatline him in Delta with your Eddies? Damn right I am.
So this is a Cyberpunk 2077 reference. I can already see it.
Wow. See, what did I say? Eventually we're going to get one, and it only took 2 episodes.
A video game that you should be playing. Not any of this crap that they recycle every year. That is a great game if you're looking for one.
You hear that, Kyler? Sir Cash Money steering you in the right direction. Cyberpunk, add it to the list.
There you go.
Credit
Cyberpunk
to you, Jake.
2077.
We only took 2 weeks to crack the code on Sir Cash Money. 2 weeks.
I think we had a couple of donos above that, by the way, too. I don't know if we did the obligatory Lyle mention right up there.
Where?
Oh, yes, we got a Lyle mention.
Did we? Did we really?
Bonus.
There has to be a Lyle mention.
Well, star that one for me if you could, because I would be damned if I missed a Lyle mention here. I'm going to have to make sure I get to that. I'm going to get to Alex right now. It says we need big booty bot t-shirts at the meetup. Lock it in, Alex. I can't give you the.
I'm 100% making one now, just so you know.
I need one. I need one.
We're going to be showing up to SoFi in style. Okay, LA. Obviously.
It's going to be like a 90s album cover style, just with the big booty on there, and then it's a big booty bot.
Yeah, like a Sir Mix-a-Lot.
And then it shows the parental.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have Z-Bot popping a squat too, like they used to do the girls? Like, right. He's gonna be doing the little like look back at you move.
Yeah. I might even hit that in real life.
Yeah. And then we're there like this.
Yeah. See, this is why you got to buy a ticket. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's gonna be more than just the show on the field, folks. I mean, we're really laying the groundwork for you here. But yeah, Alex, I'm holding you to that. I want to see it. I told you I couldn't bring you the forks. I just can't part with my personal collection, but maybe we could get the t-shirts going. Megan with another banger. She never ceases to amaze me. Megan from Down Under. $50 says, clap it up, please. Give it to me again, Brandon. I messed it up.
Thank you, Megan.
Well done. Megan says $50 says, I get that picture, Z-Bot. Love the Hawks holding the Raiders to 23-all. Love Pete being honored by the 12. Bring on the Chiefs. And if joined Patreon, so thank me later. Wow. So I think Megan might be our first joined member. We got to be getting a phone call from Megan soon, I'm sure. Hey, Megan, good luck on the hunt. Find the picture. If you do, keep it to yourself. She was all in on the Pete Carroll reunion, Brandon. Love to see it.
Oh, yeah. She's a big fan of Pete going back to USC days. She's a USC fan. So she loved the fact that he's been the coach for so many years, but she understands it was time to move on at the same time. And it was cool that we did not do the stupid thing some fan bases do where you're booing former players or coaches that you honor those guys and they come back. It's the way it should be, especially when they brought you the ultimate success. I mean, that's not a single voice in the house should be doing anything but applauding and on their feet.
Well said. PGZ, and this one's a doozy. Talk about big booty bot with a Penn State shirt on. Okay, Jerry Sandusky. That's PGZ.
Jeez.
I guess I walked into that one. We know where PGZ's mind's at.
Just stay out of the showers, D-Bot. Just stay out of the showers.
Tell you what, that was a strange part of my life growing up being a big Penn State fan. We went down, believe it or not, to watch the Joe Paterno statue get removed from Beaver Stadium. We went and watched it live. I forget how old I was. I must have been 10 or something, but just a monumental moment because that was one of the biggest scandals of all time in sports. And just watching that unfold was crazy. Yeah. So
that was the most copy pasted meme with Sandusky ever. I feel like it was just all over my school. People used to say that all the time. And I was just like, you have any idea how big this whole thing was? It was crazy. I mean, it totally shook sports. I mean, we go through those. I mean, obviously, clearly Shohei Ohtani's about to go through something or whatever, but
we talk about destroying the legacy of Paterno too, because of the where he was looked at and how revered he was in college football history to what that did. And now how much does he ever get brought up at all? It's a race almost. I mean, not just the statue, but just how he's even spoken. They'll speak about Bobby Bowden's. They'll speak about, all Bear Bryant's to this day, but he's going to be one of those guys that
feel great about it personally.
I don't, it's tough.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
It was one of the biggest fall from graces of all time in sports, so much so that it literally killed him. It killed him. He died shortly after all of this went down. He just could not take it. And the worst part, I think, of all of it, no matter where you are on the side of the fence, was that at that point of his life, I just don't know if he was fully cognizant of what was going on. It ended up just being his demise. But a wild story from top to bottom, because that was a program, like you mentioned, Brandon, that was, built on the back of Joe Paterno for decades and decades. And that entire town really was built around him. The library named after him, lived there his whole life. So yeah, it certainly was a crazy story. It's remarkable how they were able to bounce back. Bill O'Brien was the first head coach to take over after Joe Paterno left. That sparked an NFL career for him. And now I'm just trying to figure out when the hell James Franklin's going to get out of this max contract, because he loves winning the games that they should. Ohio State and Michigan come to town and it's a different ball game. But Penn State ranked number 2 in the AP polls, right behind Texas. So I'm being told this is the year. I've also been told that about the Buffalo Bills for the last several seasons too. So
former Rams quarterback Drew Aller.
Oh yeah,
Aller, man, he's a baller.
You're getting a guy who should have come out even maybe in this draft. You get the benefits of back in college football now, and that's that. Remember back in college football, this became less of a thing now because these guys all leave. But remember, guys, 15, 20 years ago, now you got a quarterback like that was returning after that many starts that could have gone out. What a benefit that is to a college program as far as elevating all the rest of the supporting cast with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it helps. I think he's making, I don't know however many $1 million, but that's the benefit of it, right? Is that you do get to stay with the program. These teams are better as a result. And I think you're going to get better quarterback play as a result. Obviously, the negative side of things is you might get guys who aren't willing to kind of roll with the motions like years past, but that's probably a good thing because the players are the one out on the field delivering the product. So, they're the ones that ultimately have to make the best decision for them. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Arch Manning. I know Arch Sr. comes out and has to say the PC thing that he's going to stay in Texas, but you mentioned it, Jake. You get a good organization who's able to package some picks and get up there. It's hard to say no to that, especially with the track records the Mannings have. We know damn well how much they value a good organization. So Larry coming in. Jesse, great job on the weight loss, but may need you to put it back on and play swing tackle and go 49ers.
Listen, they got to find somebody. It's not going to be me, but it's a problem for sure. I'm glad you noticed it because you actually put this in before I talked about the things that were wrong with the Niners, and we're on the same page here, brother.
Swing tackle. I think. Listen, you're more agile now. No need to pack the weight back on.
Oh, it's a movement-based scheme on the Niners line too.
I was going to say I'm a Kyle Shanahan kind of guy. Yeah. Trust me, I can move laterally real quick. Leverage that.
Feed me more is coming in. I think this is a comment back to who got screwed the most over the years here in terms of trade compensation. Feed me more saying sold a Super Bowl and got a rigged Super Bowl. Worst pain of all. Yeah. Totally rigged on that one, right, Brandon?
Oh, I think we've got nobody else can counter this, even with people that have more even your Bills teams can't counter this because you guys at least lost the Super Bowls badly. Like you just, it was boat raced. Ours was like 2 of the worst from 2 different reasons that are as brutal as you get. One being that I will go to my dying day telling you the 2005 Super Bowl was rigged. I don't care. I can go blow by blow. I can go play by play. It's the way it was. And then like he said, we sold our other one where we had it in our back pocket. We should have just, give it to Marshawn. Don't overthink it. It's the old meme that's never going to die. Yep. So we got 2 of the worst in a 10-year period. That's as tough as you can get. It's basically like what happened to Penn State program, but twice almost.
Ooh.
What's so crazy about that play to me is just you don't ever really see this. It was a rare moment. It's always just every time I think of that play, I just think of Chris Collinsworth saying, "And I'm sorry, but I can't believe the call." You don't see commentators be that blunt in that situation. It always stuck out to me the way he did that.
There is an unsolved mysteries to this thing that just recently took a very crazy turn. I know we're running this. You guys want to hear about this, I'm sure, to a degree, but the whole thing was that Belichick ran out goal line. You countered with the 3 wide receiver look because, like Madden, you call an offensive play, defense calls a play, right? If the defense calls their formation before your offense calls the formation, they're giving you an advantage you can take advantage of. Seattle went 3 wide to counter that. So they were just trying to now this is the smartness of Belichick to go goal line and force their hand on that. But then what now has been the recent turn on this, and I don't know if there's truth to it, but Brandon Mabane went on a show and he said that he ran to Russell Wilson the day after and that Wilson told him he changed the play. Now, I don't know
Russ did or Pete did.
Russ did. And this was a part of the thing that was hidden for many years on this that was never coming out. And it was always like, why were the defensive players so mad afterwards? And no, we didn't change the play. It was the call. And it was because of the goal line from Belichick. And we went 3 wide. And you go 3 wide, you want to pass up against a goal line set defensively. Not to mention they want to preserve their timeout because then they can still come back and run the ball on 3rd down. But I don't know if that's true or not, but it is an interesting turn, and it would explain why there's been so much tumultuousness behind that play in the background from the locker room standpoint.
Wow.
I was so mad. I wanted Seattle to win so bad. I hated the Patriots that much.
Oh my God.
I'm the same way. I was like,
I thought it was great.
I don't think I would have rooted for the Niners against the Patriots. I would have rooted for the Cardinals. I mean, I rooted for the Cardinals against the Steelers because Kurt Warner. Love Kurt Warner. And I rooted for Seattle against New England. But there was a point. It's funny. I no longer have any ill will towards New England. but there was a point where they were my most hated team. And I honestly like forget it sometimes because it's just like now it's like, oh yeah, like the 49ers are really good again. And well, maybe not last year, but recently they've been really good. And Seattle is what are they? The Twinkie that exists in a dystopian rundown era. They just don't die. They're like that rat that survived. And then the Cardinals, you can't hate the Cardinals. They're just kind of there. So, it's that, I mean, I hated New England. I was so pissed because I felt like that, you talk about rigged and God, I don't want to get into that, but man, I felt, looking back and watching that game, the greatest show on turf against this Patriots team that had Tom Brady and he took over for Drew Bledsoe, and you're watching and you're like, man, Willie McGinnis, there is not a play where he's not holding Marshall Faulk, like by the jersey, the whole route. And there's not a play where, Ty Law isn't grabbing Isaac Bruce backwards. And yeah, I absolutely hated that team. And
on top of the fact they got caught cheating multiple times over.
The Patriots.
Just blatantly cheating. And players still to this day infirm from every different camp outside of the times they got caught.
Yeah, and really the thing the thing was essentially when that happened, you knew everything was done. That ruined the Rams. That led them down that path of just being a bottom feeder because, you lose Dick Vermeil. Then Mike Martz becomes the head coach. Mike Martz, they lose that game. Now all of a sudden Warner's to blame for it. And it's just they're playing the blame game. They don't sign London Fletcher. There was a lot of like animosity and just talking to like former players that were a part of that organization at the time. They're like, yeah, that loss was crippling. And yeah, I have moved on, since, and they lost the Super Bowl to New England years later because football gods don't know how to write a good story. But I was actually okay with it. Like I moved on from that. But I will tell you, I hated the Patriots so much. Yes, I rooted for the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and I don't care who knows it. I say it all the time. And that I was just, I can't say I was just as mad as you, Brandon, but I was furious because I remember Jermaine Kearse made one of the craziest catches I've ever seen. And I was like, they're going to win. That was it. Like, you need a big time play in the Super Bowl. Mario Manningham, right? David Tyree. Like, there's always that big play. And I was like, oh, Jermaine Kearse just had that big play. Seattle's going to win this game. I could not believe you lost that game.
That was one of the greatest forgotten about plays of all time. But Tom Brady, 32-3 against the Bills in his career as a Patriot. All 35 games rigged. All 35 games rigged. All 35 games they cheated. Every single last one of them. You don't get a record like that without a little bit of cheating. And there was a lot of bit of cheating. He couldn't even give us credit, by the way. He couldn't even get his credit, by the way. They erect the statue last week, and he says that Jets fans are going to be the ones throwing the beers at it on the way in. Like, at least give us our due. At least say that we're going to be the ones throwing the beer at it, Tom. For God's sakes, at least give us a little bit of something. He refuses. Larry, gifting an NFC West Roundtable membership. Wow, nice. The generosity from Larry. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. I don't know who wound up getting the gift, but whoever did, enjoy it. And Larry, thanks for being generous and hanging out with us on a Tuesday. Freddie K. Bassman. All I want is Stafford healthy. He's not asking for much here, Jake.
It'll be okay.
Jake's confident. And from what I've known from Stafford his whole career, that guy isn't going to be sitting down unless he absolutely has to the point where he's not going to be able to stand up. So he's been an Iron Man his whole career. And I would only imagine he's going to continue to be that unless something drastic happens. Feed me more. Another one. He's saying $1 million on the line between you five. Who can create the best fighting video montage for the final fight? I can see Jake turning into a Power Ranger. So are we fighting ourselves and then putting the montage together? Is that how it works?
$1 million
winning a montage. Any video montage? Did you not see that at the beginning of the show?
Zebob's got us on that one.
I feel like the lightsaber battle would be better there. I don't know.
Totally. Maybe we should do that at the round. I mean, we're trying to think of extra fun curricular or extra activities we can do at the event. A lightsaber battle could be interesting. I mean,
it would
we
look
would
ridiculous. It
Yeah,
would
it
look
would.
absolutely ridiculous in person, but then you would edit it, and the people that weren't there would be like, "Oh, that's so cool." But there, it would look absolutely silly.
I don't know if they would say it's cool if we put it online. I think we might get a little. I think we might get a little backlash on that.
Yeah, I think they'd say your editing is cool. I think they would be like, "Yeah, we already knew these
Lot of
guys
cut-
were
lot of
nerds,
quick
but we
cuts.
didn't know they were."
Yeah,
that
I'd have to
Other
spruce
quick
this up
cut.
big time. I'd have to spruce this up big time because I've seen some footage of those in the park battles, the lightsaber battles, and man, it's tough to make that. It's tough to make that look cool, you know. But if we're gonna be making a montage, you four can fight. I'll film it and then I'll edit it. I want nothing to do with the fight.
Well, I almost made the joke earlier when you brought you're like Jesse versus Jake. I'm like, what are we cage fighting? Like,
Yeah, right.
it's like, I mean, I'll take Jesse. It's
can
like I'm throwing the fight. I won't have to, but I'll put money on that.
we can add that to the list. I mean, like I said, we're trying to add a list of activities to the event, and now we got lightsaber fighting in a cage match between Jesse and Jake pre-game. So
Wait, hold on. Lightsaber fighting in the cage?
that too. We could do that.
Where's the cage coming from?
Bonesaw is ready. Every time I think of a cage
man.
match, Spider-Man 1.
Oh,
That's where my
classic.
mind goes.
I always go
Every time.
Thunderdome.
What do you
older,
think?
though.
What is it?
I go Mad Max Thunderdome.
Mm,
2 shall enter, 1 shall leave.
epic.
Damn.
L pineapples. I know Jake's thoughts on 9. What do you all think?
Stafford.
All
Yeah.
Stafford.
And
He's
I know you're
fine.
confident, Jake. You're feeling good.
It's fine. I'm gonna
Yeah,
listen to Jake on this. Jake's never steered us wrong when if he's confident. I feel like there's more to it, so I'm gonna go with Jake.
I mean,
he's good.
confidence into what? Like he's going to start week 1. I think it's a no-brainer. He's going to start week 1, but there has to
Yeah.
be some level of concern if he does get a hard hit or get hit on the ground, that this can be something where he does, miss an extended period of time. I mean, obviously, I think he is going to be starting week 1, right? I think that's no debate there, but there should be some level of concern for if he does take a big hit.
That's
I think
always
he's-
there, though.
yeah, he's on track to he'll probably be able to get out there based on what we're hearing. And I'll take Jake's confidence with it too. I will say, you get an epidural shot. Is he having a baby as well? That's usually never a good sign on that. But it's also a back we know has also had some past history at times, and that those kind of backs, you never know. One wrong hit, one kind of this goes wrong, and he's getting to that age where it just takes that one. So I echo Mike's thoughts on this: is that it's probably fun, but it's also just one little side angle away where a lot of younger quarterbacks pop right up and they go, no problem, and he's like, oh, problem.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
Epperville,
why
Jimmy
Kyron will
G-
be
they just
starting.
mask it. They just mask
A
the-
Jimmy G led Rams team week 5 against the 49ers would be must-see TV though.
You thought
It would.
the ticket was enticing now. Just wait until that gets announced.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Jesse, do you buy in the fact that McVay has somehow tapped into some Jimmy Garoppolo experience that Shanahan couldn't find?
No, Jimmy Garoppolo's awful.
Come and find out week 5 with the roundtable.
All right. I'll disagree.
Yeah, I knew that was going to set you up, Jay. Come on, let's go.
I don't think he's awful. Okay.
Oh, boy. Oh boy.
Brandon, we watched him the last game of the year. He's not awful.
He's a good backup
He can
quarterback.
play in this league.
He's awful when it comes to starting caliber quarterbacks. Yeah.
I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even say he's
come off
awful.
the bench, it's fine. But if he's going to start 5, 6, 7 games for you guys this year, like your season's probably going to get cooked. In my opinion.
Yeah. My biggest thing, and this is what I said the other day on a show. Can Jimmy Garoppolo lead the Rams to the playoffs? Absolutely. I think they have enough in front of him. He could absolutely go to the playoffs. The defense is there. Everything's there. Can he win a playoff game? I believe so. But the issue is when you have to go and face Philly. The issue is if you go to the Super Bowl, for instance, with Garoppolo, now you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, right? That's when, yes, you can win. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Anybody can win. But would I more often than not take the other team? Yes. So I think Garoppolo could lead this team to a 10-7 record if he had to start this year. And I think he could lead you to the playoffs. And I think he could win you some playoff games. But would I be sitting there counting on him to win a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I think at that point, the expectations would change. So that's all I feel about Jimmy. I just think there's way too much around him for him to just be downright horrible. And we've seen this with Nick Foles, right, with the Eagles. And I'll tell you guys, forever. I never thought Nick Foles was that great of a quarterback. Never thought it. He went on an absolute binge at the end of that year and was playing at a level that he has never played before. All it would take is you get to the playoffs and you get on a little bit of a burner. You get some help from the defense. You get a turnover or two. You're feeling it. You got Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, playmakers and an offensive line that can protect you, and Sean McVay. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he could get hot. But am I anticipating that to happen? No. I would say if I was being entirely realistic here, Jimmy Garoppolo Rams would go 10-7, would win a playoff game or two.
Well, it's irrelevant. He's not going to get through a full season because he's a bit of a puss and he's a broken nail and he wants to get out of the game. So.
Yeah.
Well, there's already Rams fans like, wait, so if Stafford's cooked, can we start Stetson Bennett? I'm like, all right, I've had enough of y'all. I like Bennett. I'm glad that we weren't just shoved BS in our face and he actually looked good in preseason, but it was preseason. Let's just take a beat.
And the Cowboys.
Thank you. And the Cowboys, which I would take Mike at quarterback against the Cowboys.
Shit.
Get those futures in, as I keep saying.
Cowboys under 3 wins. Do it
I'm
right
in
now.
on that too. I lock that in. Parlay it. Parlay it. Why not?
What is their over under? Now I need to know this.
I don't know. I'll find it in a second. But Chacho Pichardo saying, thanks, Jake. My team's going to suck. Not sure what team
He's
that
a Cowboy
was.
fan.
Oh, wow. Right on cue.
Appreciate you, Chach.
Yeah. Sorry, Chacho. Or, yeah, sorry.
Cowboy fans have made their peace, by the way. I got to give that fan base credit for having to deal with
Yeah.
Jerry. They've just made their peace with it.
Yeah.
Like you talk to them and they're just like, yeah, I don't Dak, whatever. We're just getting through.
They're tired. Speaking of which, Garth Knight saying, nice shirtsy about who's caused more problems between the Jerrys, Jerry Jones or Jerry Sandusky. I think that's an easy answer, but I don't know if Cowboys fans would have the same answer that we did. Yeah, a lot of Jerry talk on here, and not a whole lot of positive Jerry talk here on the NFC West Roundtable. Apologies to any Jerrys tuning in. Hey, Mike, we always have one. We always have at least one. King Plum coming in. Go AZ. Go AZ. There it is. Shout out to the Cardinals. Getting it done over those lowly Chiefs. And then Garth Knight closing us out here. I'm a Brando guy, but I love all you NFC West Jackals, along with the chicken wing fan from nowhere, New York. Well said, Garth. Be good, fellas. Same to you, Garth. We appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody tuning in here on the NFC West Roundtable on a Tuesday night. Well over 300 of you in the building here on YouTube for the second episode of the NFC West Roundtable. During the 2025 season, as we recapped week 1 of the preseason. Next week, make sure to come right back to where you're at right now, where we'll recap week 2 of the NFL preseason. On your way out the door, like button if you could, subscribe button if you could, promo code RTS over on RotoWire for 15% off a premium subscription, and make sure to become a Patreon member so that way you can call into the show and get in on maybe a heated Jimmy Garoppolo debate. Maybe we'll talk about a little, I don't know, we said Cyberpunk earlier, Battlefield. The world is your oyster. Come bring it to the table here on the show. But that's going to do it for us tonight, fellas. Great stuff as always. And to everyone once again tuning in, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. To Mike, Brandon, Jesse, and Jake, I'm your host, Z-Bod. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the NFC West Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go Cards.
Go Hawks.